Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome. My name's Katie. I'm a freelance editor and an indie author and also a booktuber, obviously. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about some books that I really want to get to before the end of the year, kind of like my end of year TBR. I've been reading more this year than I ever have in my life because now it's part of my job. However, that means the amount of published books I've read this year is kind of at an all-time low, especially in the last couple of months when I've been really focusing on revising my own projects, and I miss it. You guys, I miss reading for fun. Right now I'm averaging like 1 to 2 books a month, which isn't terrible. Let's be real, that's more than most people, but I think we can do better. I think we can find a little more balance in my life. So for these last couple of months of the year, I really want to kick it into gear. I just feel like I'm missing out on so many great books that have come out this year because I just haven't had the time, or I haven't been making the time to read them, but that all changes with these last couple of months of the year. So I'll have all the books that I talk about today linked down below in the description if you want to go check them out. But before we get into my TBR, thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service which I've been using for I think 2 years now, and I absolutely love them. Basically, they just ship a brand new hardcover to your door every month for $15 and free shipping. The majority of them are adult hardcovers as well, which usually range between $25 to $30. So it's a great deal. And instead of having, you know, like the uncertainty of not knowing if you're gonna like the book with other subscription services, this one gives you 5 options. So you go onto their website at the beginning of the month and you can choose which one looks like the best fit for you, and if none of them really seem to be your taste, you can skip the month without any penalty. If you've never used Book of the Month before, I'll have a code down below in my description which you can use to get $5 off for your first box, so you'll get a brand new hardcover, free shipping, $10. Book of the Month also sent me all of their October picks so I could show you what books they have available this month, and they have some really good ones. The first book was actually perfect. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, or you may know her as Victoria Schwab. This is a fantasy novel, and this is actually our book club pick for this month. If you didn't know, I run a book club. I'll have a link down below if you want to join us this month. We're reading this book. I'm so excited. I've already started it and it's so good so far. A life of immortality is not all it's cracked up to be when no one remembers who you are. That is until someone dies. We'll talk more about this book later in the video because obviously this is one of the books that I want to finish before the end of the year. Their next pick is contemporary fiction and it's called Ties That Tether, and this is a debut novel as well. An unexpected love story that asks what happens when being the perfect daughter means betraying your own heart. Next we have my personal favorite with the genres. It's a thriller called The Girl in the Mirror. This is also another debut. For the suspense superfans, a twin assumes the life of her perfect sister in a race to win her father's fortune. Next we have a literary fiction pick called Leave the World Behind. This ominous genre-bending novel gets real weird real fast after a blackout strands 2 families in a vacation home. That's not where I thought that description was going. Interesting. This is pretty short too, so I feel like I could blow through this. And then finally we have some historical fiction called Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. Travel back to 1600 Salem in this standalone prequel to The Rules of Magic and Practical Magic. So make sure to go check out that link and the code down below in my description if you want to try out Book of the Month this month. I can't recommend them highly enough. I'm very pleased with my subscription. And without further ado, let's get into my hopeful TBR for the rest of this year. So first, obviously, we're gonna jump back to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue because I'm currently reading it. So like I said, I run a book club, so we pick a book every single month. So there's a couple of books that aren't gonna be on this list because I don't know what books we're gonna read for those months yet. My patrons vote for them, but our October book is this. So basically we're following our main character Addie, and she makes a deal in 1714 in France with basically this like god of shadows, and things don't really go the way she was expecting, and now no one can remember her name or who she is. She can't say her name, and the second she leaves someone's sight, they forget about her. So far in the book, we're jumping back and forth between the present timeline and then what happened to her in the 1700s. And all I can say is this book has been freaking phenomenal so far. I am loving Victoria Schwab's writing style. I love the whole idea behind this. I was a little nervous going into it because it sounded like it was going to be kind of like a slow-paced, very character-driven book, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes those are hard to get into. And I've been listening to the audiobook and I can tell you I was immediately hooked. I just started listening to it this morning and I'm already 3 hours in and I can't stop reading it. So yeah, if you're interested, if you want to read this with us this month, I'll have the link down below for my book club. I'm so excited to chat about this one because I'm really enjoying it, and I just love Victoria Schwab. So her books are always a safe bet for me. So next on my list, I have The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I actually started this book I want to say like last month, and I had the audiobook from my library and I ran out of time. So I think I was like halfway through the audiobook when I lost it, and I've been checking religiously my library app. I'm supposed to get it back any day now. So I just want to finish this book. I was really enjoying it too. I just did not plan ahead very well. If you're unfamiliar with Riley Sager, he writes some of my absolute favorite books. He also writes thrillers. This one is set at a summer camp, and basically our main character, when she was, I want to say 13, went to this camp, and there was a mix-up. So she was in a cabin with a bunch of older girls. I think they were like 17, and just a couple of weeks into that summer, every girl in her cabin except for her goes missing, and they just disappear and they're never seen from again. So now we're following her as an adult, and she's invited back to this camp, which is reopening for the first time to teach art to the campers, and she goes because she has been obsessed with the disappearance of those other campers her whole life. She's been in therapy. She's basically exclusively painted the other girls. She's an artist, and she's determined to figure out what happened by going back there. Like I said, I was really enjoying it. I love Riley Sager's books. If you watch the most recent season of American Horror Story, which was set at a summer camp, this has like identical vibes. It's been super great. I'm really hoping I get it back so I can finish it in October, because I feel like it's like that perfect October Halloween vibe. It's definitely not going to be my favorite book by Riley Sager, so if you're gonna start with one of his books, I would personally recommend either Lock Every Door or Home Before Dark. I loved both of those, but I'm still really enjoying this one. The next book on my list is another thriller, One by One by Ruth Ware. This just came out. I'm just waiting for my hold from my library to come in for the audiobook. So Ruth Ware, I feel like her books have been a hit or miss for me in the past. I've read quite a few of her thrillers. Some of them I've absolutely loved. Some of them have just been kind of mediocre to me. So we'll see how this one goes. I feel like she gets better with every release though. So my mistake was like starting with her most recent one and then going back to her previous books. Not that they were bad, but I think reading a new release, like I'm gonna see that uptick in quality again. That's what I'm hoping for at least. So this is a suspenseful thriller set on a snow-covered mountain. So basically it sounds like 8 co-workers all get snowed in this like luxury ski resort in the French Alps, and they're stuck together, and they all have something to gain, something to lose, and something to hide. As each hour passes without any sign of rescue, panic mounts, the resort grows colder, and the group dwindles further one by one. So this sounds like it's gonna be one of those books that's set like all in one night, and you're going like hour by hour, and people are dying off. So this sounds like right up my alley. Like that's all of the like weirdly specific elements that I love in thrillers. So I'm really, really excited for this one. I feel like this will be a good one to read more in like November, December, in the winter time once it starts snowing again in Colorado. Then I can like sit by the fire with the snow while I read this. Oh, it's gonna be fabulous. The next book I have on my list is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I don't know why, I just like forgot about Colleen Hoover. I used to really like her books, and if you've been around for a while, I raved about her book Verity when I was a senior in college, I think is when it came out. And that's the last time I read one of her books, was when Verity came out. And I don't know why it didn't occur to me that maybe more of her books had come out since then. Like, I don't know why. So much time has passed and it never occurred to me to check to see if she had a new book out. What have I been doing? Now, if you don't know anything about Colleen Hoover, she started off writing these like new adult college romance books. And then Verity, the book that I love so much, was when she kind of decided to branch away from that genre, and she wrote kind of like a romantic suspense thriller. And she self-published that one, whereas her previous books had been traditionally published. And so Heartbones, I believe, is going back to her like original vibe with the romance books. But I've also seen people saying they like sobbed and were heartbroken by this book, so I think it's gonna be really sad, which wouldn't surprise me because another one of her books, It Ends With Us, made me ugly cry. Her main characters also always have weird names. Is it Bea? Is that how you say this? So basically her parents did her no favors. She's carved her path all on her own, with only 2 short months separating her from the future she's built and the past she desperately wants to leave behind. An unexpected death leaves her with no place to go. So she has to spend the remainder of her summer on a peninsula in Texas with a father she barely knows. She meets a new neighbor named Samson, also a weird name. He comes from wealth and privilege. They're both obsessed with sad things, and apparently they kind of connect over this. They agree to just like a casual summer fling. You know that's not how this is gonna go. So I really wanted a book. Colleen Hoover books I read in like a day or two. I fly through them. They're just kind of like the reality TV for my soul. So I wanted a book that would just be, you know, easy to throw in when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed with work. Just something I can fly through. So I figured Colleen Hoover, good bet, even if this one makes me cry. So that's the next one on my list. After that, I have another Colleen Hoover book because, like I said, I forgot she existed and I need to catch up on her releases. I want to read Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Now, this one seems to be more in the vein of Verity, like the darker themed books for her. So I got one of each on my list to kind of balance each other out. Now this one has all kinds of content warnings in its description about it being super graphic. So now I'm intrigued. Our main character's name is Sloane. Slightly weird name, a little more normal. So it sounds like she's in like an abusive relationship. After finding herself stuck in a relationship with a dangerous and morally corrupt Asa Jackson, Sloane will do whatever it takes to get by until she's able to find a way out. Nothing will get in her way, nothing except Carter. I don't know who Carter is. And it looks like we're gonna jump back and forth between the different point of views because then the next paragraph of the description is Sloane is the best thing to ever happen to Asa. And if you ask Asa, he'd say the best thing to ever happen to Sloane. And then nothing will get in his way nothing except Carter. Who is Carter? I'm guessing Carter is gonna be a new love interest for Sloane. I hope it's not like a hero complex thing. We'll see. Yikes, I just scrolled down and there's like all these 1-star reviews. We're gonna give it a chance. We'll see how it goes. The next book on my list is called Crave. I have seen this book going around for quite some time and I've waited. I've always known I was gonna get to it. I've always known I was gonna read it. And now I feel like is the time. I don't think I am at all shy about it on this channel how much I love my romance books with vampires in them. If you tell me there's a vampire in the book, 9 out of 10 times I'm gonna read it. Now this one, if you look at the cover and based on like what people have been saying about it, it looks like the new version of Twilight, which honestly, even if it is, I'm okay with that. My whole world changed when I stepped inside the academy. Oh, it's an academy book too? I didn't know that. Nothing is right about this place or the other students in it. Here I am, a mere mortal among gods or monsters. I still can't decide which of these warring factions I belong to, if I belong at all. I only know the one thing that unites them is their hatred of me. Then there's Jackson Vega. Oh my god, no. They spelled his name with an X. Jackson with an X. Is anyone else like severely bothered by that? But anyway, Jackson with an X is a vampire with deadly secrets who hasn't felt anything for 100 years, but there's something about him that calls to me, something broken in him that somehow fits with what's broken in me, which could spell death for us all because Jackson walled himself off for a reason and now someone wants to wake a sleeping monster and I'm wondering if I was brought here intentionally as the bait. This sounds so trashy and so fun. Oh, I'm so excited. I think it's the first book in a series. I think the second book just came out or it's about to come out too. Let's check. Book 2 just came out September 29th. And there's gonna be a 3rd book in March and a 4th book. Oh my gosh, I really hope I like this. I feel like it's gonna be really bad, but like in a good way, you know? I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. And then finally, the last book on my TBR is a book by LJ Shen. I've seen her books everywhere. I have yet to try one of them. So I'm thinking I might not end up reading this book, but I'm gonna read one of her books, but I'm thinking I'm gonna read Playing with Fire. I think it's basically like a college new adult romance with a bad boy. That's what it seems like. A broken boy on the path to destruction, a scarred girl without direction, a love story carved in secrets, inked with pain and sealed with a lie. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key like this guy's name though, West St. Clair. So she's from a food truck. He's an underground fighter. He breaks into her sleepy Texan town. I feel like all of these books are in Texas. On a motorcycle and has been wreaking havoc ever since. And basically he comes into her life and blows things up. I think you can see a trend with these books. I need books that are easy for me to blow through right now. So we're going with the fast-paced thriller and like the trashy romances and stuff like that. Aside from Addie LaRue, which is like my slow-paced fantasy book. But these are all the books that I'm hoping to get through before the end of this year, and I have actually pretty high hopes that I'll be able to do it, unlike some like ambitious TBR videos that I've done in the past. It seems reasonable, especially given the genre of a lot of these books. So anyway, I'll have them linked down below in the description if you want to read these books with me before the end of this year, and make sure to go check out Book of the Month if you're interested. You can join my book club if you want. I now have 3 books out. My 3rd book just came out October 1st, which is really exciting. So if you're at all interested in picking up my books, I would really appreciate it. I actually have signed copies available on my website right now, or you can just pick up a copy from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you usually get your books. The first one is titled The Sweetest Kind of Poison. It's a collection of poetry about toxic and abusive relationships. My 2nd book is called The Anti-Virginity Pact, and it's a YA contemporary novel. And my 3rd book that just came out is another poetry collection called Poems for the End of the World, and it's kind of the love of my life right now. I'm so proud of this book. I'm so excited for it to be out. If you'd like to pick up a copy, I would be very appreciative, and I think it goes very well with this time of year and those kind of vibes. Anyway, if you're new here, maybe subscribe and stick around. I'd love to have you. I've got links for a ton of stuff down below in my description if you want to go check them out, and I'll just see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye.
So hit me. So hit me. So hit me. First a confession. With you, I feel a connection. With